I totally feel like a mom today because I'm wearing this suit. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Tali. If you are new to this channel, if you're not, welcome back and thank you for joining me today. Today I am going to be reviewing the rest of the books that I read for the month of May, and I did create a video already of reviewing 3 books, total of 3,472 pages if I am not wrong, but I'm gonna be reviewing the rest of the books that I read. I hope you guys enjoy and let me know your thoughts on any of the books that I'm going to be reviewing, and I hope you guys enjoy. The book that I'm going to be reviewing is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. It's about 4 college roommates who moved to New York City in search of fame and fortune. It's about addiction, success, and pride, how the men are held together by their friend Jude, who is a man scarred with a childhood trauma. If you've never heard of Hanya Yanagihara, I think she only has 2 novels out, one of them being The People in the Trees. Her writing style is completely different to what I have read in the past. So in the beginning of the book, it was really hard for me to really concentrate on her writing because she goes from the present to the past. It is written in third-person point of view, adhering to one perspective at a time. The narrational tense shifts between past and present and going from past events that occurred in the characters' lives. Towards the end of the story, it is narrated by Harold. It's what got me confused because in the beginning it starts out with the third-person point of view, but it's very clear that it was Harold. He becomes an important character from the story. I'm not going to tell you so much about him. There's a lot of trigger warnings in this book. I would really not recommend it for people with depression or people who have dealt with this kinds of things. For example, self-harm, attempted suicide, disordered eating, physical abuse of a minor, domestic abuse, abuse of a character with a disability, loss of a child, drug abuse, addiction, sexual assault, pedophilia, PTSD, and a forced prostitution of a minor. Towards the beginning, I feel like we really get to know the characters because the author introduces each one of them, and it's very descriptive, and we really get to know their background and their family. I feel like their relationship throughout the novel changes dramatically because in the beginning, Jude and Willem, who is the actor, the only thing that they have in common is that they don't have any parents, and it makes it very clear right in the beginning. And JB, who is the painter, he was raised by 4 women. His dad died, and that was the only sadness that he had as a child, and he became one of the annoying characters because since the beginning we can see his arrogance and how he considers himself the luckiest of all them 4, and he's always comparing himself and really bringing other people down, I guess you can say. He is the architect and he has both parents, but his dad shows favoritism to his sister. Their relationships change dramatically because in the beginning, Willem and JB, they have this really great relationship together because they're allowed to be funny and have fun. It's something that he can't be with Jude or Malcolm. Willem's feelings for Jude are complicated. He loves him, but he also fears for him. And I feel like this relationship changes towards the ending to a very toxic relationship, but at the same a beautiful relationship. Willem is the one who experiences Jude's hardest episodes in college and is the one that always saw him in pain, which I feel like it was kind of annoying in the beginning because Willem didn't really do anything to help him, and he does call himself a coward because of that, and I totally agreed in the beginning because, I mean, you're his friend and he trusts you the most. It changes completely because we really get to know Jude, and it's just so heartbreaking. It just makes me really understand Willem and what he went through. He does become one of my favorite characters because I feel like he is the one that was always there for Jude, you know, even though he was scared to try to help him because he already knew that Jude didn't really ask for help. Many topics are discussed right from the beginning. There is sexuality, religion, and poverty. First pages just really talks about their personalities, their obstacles, and their ambitions, which I really enjoyed, and it really captivated me to keep on reading, and it made me really care for them. So after that, after the first 100 pages, it shifts to only focusing on Jude. Jude becomes the most central character in the novel. It basically just takes us through what he went through as a child. The narration reveals that Jude was raised in a monastery, in a Catholic monastery, where he went through sexual assault and abuse. When it introduces us to Jude, that's when you will need your tissues. That is when the emotions start piling up, and that's when you just have to put your book down and really think about what you're getting yourself into. It just takes you through so many emotions, and when I say emotions, it's very, very sad. I think that when I was reading through what Jude went through, it was just a really angry emotion, and I was shaking the whole time because of how angry I was. And the author put this character Jude through so much pain, and if it wasn't one thing, it was another. He just met so many evil people throughout his life, which made him the person that he was as an adult. And even if he had all these people to help him, all his family, all his friends, and people that wanted to help him, he thought that it wasn't enough because of all the trauma that he went through and all the bad and evil people that he encountered in his life. And it's just something so sad, and I feel like the author did such an incredible job at writing this beautiful story that puts you through so much pain. And I feel like towards the ending, it was just like so exhausting because we're watching a character just hurt himself over and over and over again, and it's just a book that you need to put down a lot of times because it can mess with your emotions. It's the ending. I really expected something different. I feel like it brings a message to people that if you go through this childhood trauma and through all the worst things possible in your life, and you're not able to recover from them. So I rated this a 4 out of 5 just because the message, and I think this is the first book that I've read that has been very painful after A Child Called It. I think that's the first book that I read that was very depressing and painful to read. So the next book that I read was The Outsider by Stephen King. I did create a reading vlog for this one, so I'm not going to elaborate too much on it. This story is about a murder of an 11-year-old boy who is found at a local park. It takes place in Flint City, Oklahoma. Everyone knows the prime suspect, Terry, and he's an English teacher, he's a dad, he's a husband, and he's also a coach. There are several witnesses to claim that they saw Terry the day of the murder, but there are also witnesses that say that saw him at another place the night of the murder. It is written in third-person point of view, so the book can be very gruesome just because of the descriptions that they give. I feel like it had a great tone to the whole book. I'd really recommend if you're a horror fan. It has some deep, dark elements to it, especially towards the end when you get to find out if Terry was the one who committed the crime. Very suspenseful right from the beginning. A lot of the story was built very slowly, but I feel like it was very suspenseful. It's a book that you can't stop reading. The ending was kind of weird. I know all Stephen King's books are weird, but it's kind of like a supernatural kind of thing. Reminded me kind of its ending because it's something that you wouldn't expect. I really enjoyed all the characters. They mentioned Holly Givney, who is from the Mr. Mercedes trilogy. I loved her. She's my favorite character. I really recommend you guys reading Mr. Mercedes before reading this one because it does give you a kind of like a spoiler of a character from Mr. Mercedes. I don't recommend you guys reading this at night, especially towards the middle, because it's really scary because of how descriptive Stephen King is. And I really enjoyed this one. I did a 5 out of 5. The next one that I read was Elevation by Stephen King, and this one is a really fast-paced book. It has only 146 pages. This was very captivating. It's kind of like a magical tale because he is losing weight without getting thinner. I really enjoyed this one. It's a very fast-paced book, and I really like the main character, Scott. And it's something completely different to Stephen King. But I don't mind. It's a very good short story to read. I did it a 4 out of 5. It just wasn't a story that really cared for, but I did enjoy reading it, and I would really recommend you guys, if you're looking for a non-horror story and a very fast-paced read by Stephen King. Okay, the next 3 books that I read were The Hunger Games. I'm not gonna elaborate too much about them because you guys already know that I did love them. I rated Catching Fire a 4 out of 5 because that one was a little bit less intriguing than the other ones and a little bit more slow paced. If you have not read them, I truly recommend you guys reading them. They're very fast and very fun to read, especially the movies. I think the Hunger Games movies are the first movies that I really enjoyed that are book to movie adaptations. So those are all the books that I've read for the month of May. I'll talk to you guys next time. Thank you for watching. Bye!